Commander Jiwoo Park wiped sweat from her brow as she studied the strange markings on the cave wall. The Martian dust swirled around her boots in the thin atmosphere. After 3 months of excavation, her team had finally broken through to this hidden chamber beneath the red planet's surface. "Dr. Kim, what do you make of these symbols?" she called over her shoulder. Do-hyun Kim adjusted his glasses and moved closer to the wall. His headlamp illuminated ancient carvings that seemed impossible. Geometric patterns mixed with flowing script that resembled no known language. "These match patterns found in ancient Earth sites," he whispered, voice filled with wonder. "Egypt, Peru, Göbekli Tepe. But that would mean someone visited both planets thousands of years ago." Jiwoo finished his thought. The 12-person expedition team gathered in the chamber, their faces showing a mixture of awe and disbelief. They had expected to find water traces or simple microbial evidence. Instead, they stood before what appeared to be a technological relic from an unknown civilization. Myeon Cho, the team's archaeologist, ran her gloved fingers along a metallic panel embedded in the rock. "The dating puts this at roughly 45,000 years old, before humans even developed agriculture." Without warning, the panel began to glow with soft blue light. The team stepped back as one, reaching for equipment and safety protocols. Only Jiwoo moved forward, drawn by curiosity stronger than caution. "Commander, we should follow procedure," warned Security Officer Minho Kang, his hand hovering near his sidearm. Jiwoo ignored him. 20 years of training and missions had taught her when rules mattered, and when discovery demanded risk. This moment felt pivotal. Humanity's first encounter with clear evidence of extraterrestrial intelligence. As her gloved hand touched the glowing surface, the entire chamber hummed with energy. The walls became transparent, revealing hidden technology. Holographic stars burst into existence above them, forming a 3-dimensional map of space. "It's a star chart," gasped Young-Ho Lee, their astrophysicist. "But some of these configurations don't match our records." A specific point pulsed within the hologram, coordinates to somewhere deep in uncharted space. Back at the Mars base camp, heated debate broke out among the team members. The discovery had to be reported to Earth, but opinions differed on how to present their findings. "This changes everything we know about human history," Myeon argued, her eyes bright with excitement. "These symbols match carvings found across Earth. Whatever built this visited our ancestors." Hyun-Soo Choi, the mission skeptic, shook his head. "Or perhaps ancient humans were more advanced than we thought and reached Mars before their civilization collapsed." Jiwoo listened to them argue while studying images from the chamber. Something about the star map pulled at her mind. It felt like an invitation or a warning. 3 days later, their scheduled communication window with Earth opened. Jiwoo had made her decision. "United Earth Command, this is Mars Expedition Alpha. We have discovered artificial structures of non-human origin. Request immediate approval for extended mission and additional personnel." The 16-minute transmission delay felt eternal. When the reply came, Command's shock was evident even through the formal language. 6 months later, Jiwoo stood in the office of Director Sun-Woo Park at United Earth headquarters in Seoul. The holographic projections of their discovery floated between them. "The Council has approved your expedition request," the director said, sliding a data tablet across the desk. "The research vessel Prometheus has been reassigned to your command." Jiwoo's heart raced. "Thank you, Director." "Don't thank me yet. Half the Council believes you're chasing ghosts. The other half fears you'll find something dangerous." The older woman's face hardened. Whatever left those artifacts clearly had technology far beyond ours. "If they're still out there, we need to know," Jiwoo said simply. As she left the building, Jiwoo looked up at the stars becoming visible in the evening sky. Somewhere out, there waited answers to questions humanity had asked since they first looked upward. Who else shares the universe? Are we alone? What is our place among the stars? The answer might be more surprising than anyone imagined. Perhaps humans weren't, just late arrivals to a cosmic community. Perhaps something connected Earth to the wider galaxy long before recorded history. Jiwoo smiled as she thought about the crew she would select for this journey. They would need the best minds and the most open ones, because if her growing theory proved correct, they might discover that humanity's story was far older and stranger than anyone had imagined. The starship Prometheus sliced through the darkness of deep space, its engines humming with steady power. 2 years had passed since their departure from Earth, and the crew of 37 specialists had settled into the rhythm of long-distance space travel. Commander Jiwoo Park stood in the observation deck, watching the unfamiliar stars streaking past the reinforced windows. "Commander, we've made another breakthrough with the artifacts," said a voice behind her. Jiwoo turned to see Myeon Cho, the cultural specialist, holding a tablet filled with notes and images. The young woman's excitement was visible despite her obvious exhaustion. "Show me," Jiwoo said, gesturing to the holographic projector. Myeon activated the device, and 3-dimensional representations of the Martian symbols appeared in the air between them. "We've connected these symbols to ancient human writings from at least 12 different Earth cultures," Myeon explained. "They all contain references to beings they called by different names: Sky People, Starwalkers, Bright Ones, but the I-Yo descriptions match." Jiwoo studied the rotating images. "And you believe these were all describing the same visitors?" "Yes. We're calling them the Seeders, based on recurring themes in the myths. They came from the stars, shared knowledge, and promised to return." Myeon's eyes sparkled. "What if we're following their path home?" Their conversation was interrupted by an urgent message over the ship's communication system. "Commander Park, to the bridge immediately," came the voice of Navigation Officer Junho Lee. When Jiwoo arrived at the bridge, the crew was gathered around the main sensor display. A small object was moving erratically about 50,000 kilometers from their position. "We detected it 10 minutes ago," explained Junho. "It's not following any natural trajectory. It's a ship." Jiwoo felt her heart rate quicken. First contact, the moment humanity had speculated about for centuries, might be minutes away. "Hail them on all frequencies and languages from our database," she ordered. No response came. After an hour of attempted communication, the sensors showed the ship was losing power. "It appears damaged," said Chief Engineer Do-Yun Kim. "Life support systems are failing." Jiwoo made her decision quickly. "Prepare a rescue team. We're bringing them aboard." 6 hours later, the medical bay of the Prometheus held its first non-human patient. The alien was humanoid but clearly not human. Taller, with pale blue skin and 4-fingered hands. The ship's doctor, Yoonjin Lee, worked frantically to stabilize the injured visitor. "The biology is different, but similar enough that I can treat the worst injuries," she reported. "It's in a coma-like state." For 3 days, the crew took turns watching over their unexpected guest. On the 4th morning, the alien opened 3 silver eyes and tried to speak. The universal translator on the medical bay wall struggled to process the unfamiliar language. "Where, vessel?" came the halting translation. "You're aboard the Earth, ship Prometheus," Jiwoo explained slowly. "We found your ship damaged. You were injured." The alien stared at her with those strange silver eyes. "Earth? Human?" "Yes, we are humans from Earth." The alien's reaction was immediate and alarming. It tried to rise from the bed, body tense with what seemed like fear or shock. "Impossible. Humans not have space travel. Not allowed." Jiwoo exchanged glances with Dr. Lee. "Not allowed by whom?" "The Council. All know this." Over the next few days, as the alien recovered, they learned more. His name was Taijo, a scout from a species called the Valkyrie. His people believed humans were primitive beings confined to their home planet, not by natural development, but by design. "Humans, dangerous," Taijo explained during one conversation. "Lost right to stars long ago." When shown the Martian artifacts and their destination coordinates, Taijo became agitated. "You must turn back. That place not for humans." But the Prometheus continued its journey. As they approached the coordinates from the Martian map, tension on the ship grew. Taijo became increasingly anxious, watching the crew with a mixture of fear and curiosity. Why your kind so different from records? He asked Jiwoo privately. Stories say humans violent, simple. You are not simple. Jiwoo smiled. Perhaps your records are wrong, or incomplete. When the ship's sensors finally detected their destination, an ancient space station orbiting a dying star, Taejo made one final plea. Commander Park, he said, using her name for the first time. What waits there will change everything. Some truths better stay buried. Jiwoo looked at the massive structure appearing on their view screen. After coming so far, turning back was unthinkable. We came for answers, she replied simply. And we will have them. The massive space station hung silently in the darkness, its ancient architecture unlike anything built by human hands. The Prometheus approached cautiously, scanning for signs of life or active defense systems. Commander Jiwoo Park stood on the bridge watching the structure grow larger on the main screen. No response to our hails, reported Communications Officer Sung-ho. The station appears dormant. Taejo, the Valkyrie alien, paced nervously behind them. You must not dock, he insisted. Humans are forbidden from accessing the legacy. Jiwoo turned to face him. You keep saying that, but never explain why. What are you so afraid we'll find? Taejo looked away. Things best forgotten. Despite his warnings, Jiwoo ordered the ship to dock with the station. The airlock systems were surprisingly compatible, suggesting the station's builders had used technology similar to their own. The exploration team consisted of Jiwoo, Dr. Mi-yeon Cho, Engineer Do-hyun Kim, Security Officer Min-ho, and, at Jiwoo's insistence, Taejo. They moved through dark corridors that lit up as they approached the station, awakening after what must have been thousands of years of sleep. The architecture feels strangely familiar, Mi-yeon whispered as they entered a large circular chamber. These designs echo patterns from ancient Earth structures. In the center of the chamber stood a control panel. When Jiwoo approached, it activated, projecting holographic images that filled the room. Scenes from Earth's distant past played around them. Ancient cities more advanced than history recorded. Early humans interacting with visitors in strange clothing. What is this? Jiwoo asked, turning to Taejo. The alien's 3 silver eyes were wide with fear. The truth you should not know. Do-hyun studied the panel's interface. I think I can access the station's main database from here. The system architecture is surprisingly logical to me. After several hours of work, the database unlocked. Information flooded the room's displays. Mi-yeon gasped as she began translating the text. Commander, this can't be right, she said, her voice shaking. According to this, the Cedars weren't aliens who visited Earth, they were humans. Jiwoo stared at her. What? These records say an advanced human civilization existed on Earth over 50,000 years ago. They developed space travel and colonized hundreds of worlds. Mi-yeon's fingers flew across the screen as she navigated through files. They encountered and uplifted other species, including the Valkyrie. All eyes turned to Taejo, who had sunk to the floor. Is this true? Jiwoo demanded. Taejo nodded slowly. The oldest of our people know. It is our greatest shame. Do-hyun called from another console. I've found records of a war, a massive conflict between the ancient humans and another species called the Nexari. More images appeared, planets burning, great fleets clashing among the stars. The war ended with Earth being targeted, continued Do-hyun. They bombarded the planet, destroying the civilization and resetting humanity to a primitive state. Jiwoo felt a cold anger building inside her. Your people knew about this? You let humans struggle for thousands of years, rebuilding from nothing? It was for the good of all, Taejo said defensively. Ancient humans were conquerors. The galaxy feared their return. Mi-yeon had discovered more files. That's not the whole truth. Look at these records. The human empire was mostly peaceful. The war started when the Nexari attacked human colonies. The final pieces came together as they explored deeper into the station's history banks. After Earth's fall, the surviving human colonies were systematically eliminated. The uplifted species, the Valkyrie and others, inherited the remnants of human technology and civilization. They formed a galactic council that maintained the lie that humans were naturally primitive beings, unworthy of rejoining the galactic community. This station was built by the last free humans, Mion explained, reading from the records. They hid it here and encoded its location into monuments on Earth and Mars, hoping their descendants would someday find their way back. As they prepared to return to the Prometheus with their discovery, the station's sensors came to life. A fleet of ships had appeared near the dying star, Valkyrie warships. They followed us, Tejo admitted. I sent a message before we arrived. I am sorry. Jiwoo's expression hardened. You should be. Your people stole our history, our legacy, and now they've come to make sure we never reclaim it. She activated her communicator. All crew to battle stations. We have company. The 6 Valkyrie warships surrounded the ancient station, their weapons charged and ready. Commander Jiwoo Park watched from the station's control center as the Prometheus maintained position near the docking port, badly outgunned but refusing to surrender. Incoming transmission, reported Sung-ho over the comm link. The Valkyrie fleet. Commander demands we leave the station immediately and surrender all data we've collected. Jiwoo turned to Taijo, who stood uncomfortably between the humans. Is there any way to reason with them? The alien shook his head. The High Council will destroy this place rather than let humans reclaim their history. They fear what you might become. Do-hyun had been studying the station's systems since they discovered the fleet's approach. He looked up from his console with a cautious smile. Commander, I found something interesting. This station has defensive capabilities, advanced ones. Can we access them? Jiwoo asked. I think so. The systems recognize human genetic patterns. They're responding to us in ways they don't for Taejo. Jiwoo nodded. Activate what you can. We need time. Minutes later, energy shields flickered to life around the station. The Valkyrie ships fired, but their weapons couldn't penetrate the ancient defenses. They're hailing us again, said Sung-ho. On the main screen appeared an older Valkyrie, his silver eyes narrowed with anger. I am High Commander Kibo of the Valkyrie Defense Force. You have illegally accessed forbidden technology. Surrender now or face destruction. Jiwoo stepped forward. This is Commander Jiwoo Park of Earth. We've discovered the truth about our history. Humanity wasn't always primitive. We built this station. We created the civilization you inherited. Kibo's expression darkened. Lies. The station has corrupted your minds with false information. Then explain why its systems respond to us but not to Taijo, Jiwoo challenged. Why the symbols we found on Mars match ancient Earth writings. Why the station's architecture feels familiar to us. End transmission, Kibo growled, and the screen went dark. The Valkyrie fleet began a coordinated attack on the station's shields. Though they held, Do-hyun warned they wouldn't last forever against such firepower. We need to broadcast the truth, Jiwoo decided. Not just to the fleet, but to all ships in range. Mion, prepare the historical records we found. Sung-ho, boost our signal to maximum power. As they worked, another transmission came through. Not from the fleet commander, but from a smaller science vessel in the Valkyrie formation. This is Science Officer Jumi, said a younger Valkyrie. Many of us have questions about what you found. There have always been inconsistencies in our historical records about humans. Then listen to this, Jiwoo said. They broadcast the station's records, evidence of the ancient human civilization that had once spanned the stars, the war that destroyed them, and the systematic erasure of their legacy. They showed proof that the Valkyrie and other species had been uplifted by humans before turning against their benefactors. Your leaders have hidden the truth for generations, Jiwoo told the watching ships. Humans aren't a threat to be contained. We're trying to reclaim what was stolen from us. The Valkyrie fleet's attack faltered. Communication chatter increased between their ships as the younger crew members began questioning their orders. High Commander Kibo's voice thundered across all channels. Ignore their fabrications. They will destroy us all if given the chance. But Science Officer Jumi and others had already broken formation, moving their ships away from the attack position. We've suspected this for years, Jumi admitted. Our oldest archives contain hints that humans once walked among the stars. Kibo's ship fired on the dissenting vessels. Chaos erupted as the Valkyrie fleet split, those loyal to the High Command continuing the attack while others either fled or moved to defend the station. Their fleet is in disarray, reported Minho from the Prometheus. But the loyal ships are pressing their attack with everything they have. Jiwoo realized this was their moment. Do-yun, can we access the station's main archive? The complete records? Yes, but we'll need to drop shields temporarily to transfer the data to the Prometheus. Jiwoo made the call. Do it. We came for the truth. Now we need to make sure it survives. As the shields dropped and the data transfer began, Kibo's ship launched a desperate attack. The truth about humanity's legacy hung in the balance, caught between those who would bury it forever and those brave enough to face a new reality. The ancient station shuddered as Kibo's flagship hammered against its weakened shields. Inside, the control center, Jiwoo and her team worked frantically to complete the data transfer while Do-hyun fought to maintain what remained of their defenses. Transfer at 60%. Mion called out, her fingers flying across the holographic interface. But the shields won't last much longer. Through the viewports, they could see the divided Valkyrie fleet engaged in ship-to-ship combat. Science. Officer Jumi's supporters had formed a protective screen between the station and Kibo's loyalists, but they were outgunned and losing ground. Commander, we've gained access to something new, Do-hyun suddenly announced. There's a hidden chamber. Beneath this level, some kind of central archive core. Jiwoo made a quick decision. Miyun, continue the transfer. Do-hyun, Minho, with me. The three descended through an ancient lift system that activated at Jiwoo's touch. They emerged into a vast spherical chamber lined with crystalline data structures. At the center floated a glowing blue orb. It's beautiful, whispered Minho. As Jiwoo approached, the orb pulsed and expanded. A holographic figure formed. A woman in clothing similar to ancient Earth styles. Genetic identification confirmed. Human presence detected. Final archive access granted. The figure said in perfect, unaccented language, I am the keeper, guardian, of humanity's legacy. Why was our history hidden from us? Jiwoo asked. After the Great War, the remaining human leaders made a difficult choice, the keeper explained. Our civilization was broken. Our enemies were determined to eliminate all. Advanced human presence from the galaxy, the chamber filled with images of devastation, burning worlds, fleeing ships, the bombardment of Earth. The few surviving humans could not defeat their enemies through force. Instead, they created a plan spanning millennia. Earth's population was allowed to start again, their technology destroyed but their potential preserved. What potential? Asked Do-hyun. The keeper's image smiled. Genetic markers were embedded in all surviving humans, dormant abilities that would slowly reawaken over generations. This station was programmed to remain hidden until humans rediscovered space travel on their own, proving they had evolved beyond their warlike past. The station shook violently. Above them, Kibo's forces had broken through part of the defensive screen. We don't have much time, Jiwoo said urgently. How do we stop them? You already have, replied the keeper. By coming here, by proving worthy of your inheritance. The blue orb pulsed, sending waves of energy throughout the station. Hidden systems awakened. On the bridge of his flagship, High Commander Kibo watched in horror as the ancient station came fully to life. All ships, full attack, he ordered desperately. Destroy it now. His weapons officers never had the chance to comply. Throughout the station, advanced defense systems targeted the attacking ships with precision, not to destroy them, but to disable their weapons and propulsion. In the chamber, Jiwoo watched as the keeper's hologram showed what was happening outside. The station was never meant as a weapon, the keeper explained. It is a beacon, a library, and yes, a defense, but its purpose is to protect, not destroy. With Kibo's fleet immobilized, Jiwoo returned to the control center where Miyan had completed the data transfer. Together with the crew of the Prometheus and their Valkyrie allies led by Jumi, They unlocked the station's communication array, powerful enough to reach across the galaxy. They broadcast the truth, not just to the Valkyrie, but to all species. The response was immediate and overwhelming. Ships began appearing around the dying star as curious representatives from dozens of worlds came to witness humanity's return. 3 months later, Jiwoo stood in the Great Council chamber on the Valkyrie, homeworld. Representatives from 27 species filled the hall, including the first human delegation to visit an alien world. For too long, the galaxy has been built on lies, Jiwoo addressed the assembly. Our ancestors made mistakes, as have yours, but the time for deception is over. She activated a holographic display showing the genetic analysis the Keeper had provided, proof that many species, including the Valkyrie, carried traces of ancient human DNA from the uplifting process. We are not separate. We are family, distanced by time and tragedy, but connected by something deeper than politics or fear. The Galactic Council voted to formally acknowledge humanity's true history and welcome Earth back into the wider community. The ancient station, now called Legacy, became a neutral center for cultural exchange and scientific cooperation. As Jiwoo prepared to return to Earth with their discoveries, Jumi approached her. "Your people have shown remarkable forgiveness," the Valkyrie scientist said. "After all that was taken from you," Jiwoo smiled. "The past cannot be changed, but the future is ours to write together."